think it's good that so many undocumented immigrants that are not violent, that pay their taxes, are getting deported? Do you think it's good that all these government workers are losing their jobs, so many of them that happen to be veterans? Do you think it's good that the biggest tax breaks for the top 1% are going to thrive the economy? Do you think that's good for the economy?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. It's going okay. A little frustrating, but it's going okay.
I just wanted to chime in a little bit. I'm not a big politician or into politics all that much. I'm just kind of a voice of reason. And I think that, everything you're saying about Donald Trump that's been proven, 100% true, whatever, his court document and all that.
Right.
But at the same time, you made a statement that what has Biden been charged with, that doesn't always mean somebody's innocent, right? Just because he's gotten away with it.
But John, what it does mean is something was proven in a court of law, and I think there is some credibility to that, as opposed to somebody just making allegations that haven't been proven.
Right, but you can look at a statistic. You can pull up any statistic you'd like, and you'll see that the people that are found guilty versus people who get away with it, it's always going to be about 50-50.
Okay, I don't know. How did you come up with that statistic?
Look up the murder. Look up the murder charge.
What murder?
How many murders go? Look up how many murders go unsolved.
So Donald Trump hasn't been accused or convicted or charged with murder, and neither does Joe Biden.
No, it's a general. It's just a general.
So we're talking about Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, and maybe you could tell me some credible things that people have said about Joe Biden that may or may not have been proven. I'm trying to stick to facts, John, with respect. And the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump was proven in a court of law that he was found liable for sexual abuse. So it's an issue of
sexual abuse. That's completely different, right? Let's talk about politics though, because personal lives, who knows? Politicians have secrets everywhere, so we can't sit here and because of what's been exposed versus what hasn't. That's all speculative.
Okay, I'm not speculating. I'm not. But hold on. I'm not speculating. And while I agree with you that the economy is very important, and I'm happy to have that conversation with you, I'm not speculating when I say Donald Trump is a liable sexual abuser. I'm not speculating when a jury of his peers found that he was liable for sexual abuse. I'm not speculating when I say 25 women have made claims, allegedly, not proven in a courtroom, but 25 women have claimed that he is that he raped them or were victims of sexual abuse. So let's get to the economy.
Do you think being in that position doesn't put a target on your back, though?
A lot of these. Okay, so let's.
Everybody out here is just
sure. So let's
not
talk.
Ill-willed.
Sure, fair point. So let's talk about that for a moment. Are you claiming because when Donald Trump got into politics, he was a target? Is that? I'm assuming that's the point you're making. Is that fair?
I'm saying regardless, his stature, his status.
So Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban is a billionaire, a self-made billionaire. Can you name me one woman that accused Mark Cuban of sexual abuse?
I'm sure if you look deep enough into it, there's somebody out there.
No, there's not. And Mark Cuban has never been found liable for sexual abuse. By the way, Donald Trump, his own ex-wife accused him of rape in a court deposition before he ever ran for office. So I think that's a very poor excuse. There's a lot of rich people in this country, and I can tell you a lot of those rich people were not on Jeffrey Epstein's flight log. A lot of those rich people, Epstein didn't call their best friends. So with respect, sir, I disagree with you. But you mentioned the economy, and I'm happy, John, to have that conversation with you. What has Donald Trump done positively for the economy in the last 7 weeks?
And that's okay. Like, let's be real, man. It's been 7 weeks.
Okay, so let's
even buy a property without.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Nope. Okay, fair enough.
How do you expect the economy to change?
Okay, so let's talk about Donald Trump the first 4 years in his first administration. When Donald Trump left office, the unemployment rate was higher than when he took office. There were people that were locked up in their rooms. 3,000 to 5,000 people lost their jobs, and we had one of the lowest unemployment rates in the history of this nation. Oh, yeah, he also got us $8.2 trillion in debt, more than any other living president in our lifetime. That's a 4-year window. What would you say to that 4-year window when we talk about the economy, sir?
I say that the economy was 100% stronger at the end of his term than in the beginning.
At the end of his term, the entire country was shut down. At the end of his term, unemployment rate was the worst it's been in the history of this country in my lifetime. At the end of his term, we were all locked up in our rooms and the country was shut down and we were losing 3,000 to 5,000 people a day. How could you make the case that the economy was thriving at the end of his term when the entire country was shut down?
The entire world was shut down. So
well,
how is that at all fault of Donald Trump?
You just said the economy was thriving when he left office. You're the one making the argument, not me. You're the guy who just said that. You have to defend it.
Keep COVID out of the economy. That has nothing to do with the economy.
So hold on. Let me just get this right from this gentleman. John, I'm trying to be respectful to you, but it's going to be very hard when you make a statement like that. John, a MAGA supporter, which is fine, just said COVID has nothing to do with the economy. John, did I just get you right? Did you just say COVID has nothing, no direct correlation to the economy? Is that what you just said?
That's exactly what I said.
Okay, so John, I'm going to try to keep a straight face here, John, with respect, because I appreciate you calling in. You're saying when the country is locked down and we're losing 3,000 to 5,000 people a day from COVID, businesses are being shut down, and you don't think any of that has any direct correlation to our economy?
What was Donald Trump supposed to do personally? Stop
That is
zero?
that is a different question. You said the economy was thriving when Donald Trump left office. I proved to you that it wasn't based on the numbers. And obviously COVID had a lot to do with that. And you just said COVID has nothing to do with the economy, which is an asinine thing to say, with all due respect, sir. I don't blame, and to answer your question now, I don't blame Donald Trump for COVID. I blame him for the handling of COVID. 15 cases down to 0. It's going to be gone by Easter. Talking about disinfectant. Using COVID press conferences as political rallies attacking Joe Biden. Sir, you seem like a nice guy. To say that COVID doesn't affect our economy, would you like to retract that statement? I will give you the opportunity. It affected it affected the economy all over the world, in every country.
Look, this is what I'll do. COVID affected the economy to the fullest extent.
Thank you.
Now, where the economy was at prior to COVID, that's what you would have to really base it off.
Okay, so let's talk about that. I think that's very fair, John, and I appreciate you correcting the record with what you said. I do appreciate that. So, John, before COVID hit, the unemployment numbers were higher than when Joe Biden left office. Now, if you don't believe me, you can look at the Department of Labor and you could look that up for yourself. So with that being the case, would you give Joe Biden a little bit of credit for that? You can look that up, by the way, if you don't believe me. I work very hard to not try to make things up. Does that mean anything?
Man, I'm not going to say Joe Biden's term was completely useless. Like, it's not like that at all. All I'm saying is that Donald Trump, from a business, because America's a business, man. Like, I'm not saying that, he's so successful in the business game, but I'm saying we have to give it a chance to be run by somebody.
Okay, so for 4 years, fair enough, John, fair enough. I appreciate that. Donald Trump got us $8.2 trillion in debt in 4 years, more debt than any other president in my lifetime. Would you say that that's how you run a business? Getting us $8.2 trillion in debt? That was 4 years.
Isn't that the name of the game, man? Like, every year, money's always going to increase.
Wait, hold on. So the name of the game is to get us in the most debt we've ever had in my lifetime? John, think about what you're saying for a moment. No, that's not the name of the game. The name of the game is what Bill Clinton did. He left us with a surplus. It's not the name of the game to get us in more debt. John, can we at least agree on that? That's not the name of the game.
Houses also cost $60,000 when Bill Clinton left office, so it's completely irrelevant.
It's very relevant. We had a president who left his term with a surplus. We had a president in Donald Trump who got us $8.2 trillion in debt. Obama didn't do that. Joe Biden didn't do that. Donald Trump got us in more debt than any living president. How could you say that's not relevant? You're saying he's this great businessman, which also I completely disagree with you on. And now we're living in a state where you don't want to, it's only been 7 weeks. The guy was president for 4 years and he got us $8.2 trillion in debt. How could you say that's not relevant, John, with respect?
7 weeks is nothing compared to a 4 year
I'm not talking about 7 weeks. I'm talking about 4 years. You made that argument, and I could disagree with you and say the 25% tariffs are ruining the economy. Unemployment is up since he took office. Inflation is up since he took office. People are getting laid off left and right. So I can make the argument that I disagree with you, but I'm putting that aside, John. I'm trying to tell you that the guy was president for 4 years, and he got us more in debt than any other president, and you're saying that's irrelevant. So which is it? A president getting us in debt is not relevant? Is that what you're saying? That's the name of the game?
Riddle me this. Did we start off at zero debt when he got in, or did we just increase the debt that we were already in?
I will do it, but I won't riddle it for you because I'm not good at riddles, John. So Barack Obama left us with a thriving economy. Take a look at the numbers. I'll riddle you that Bill Clinton left us with a surplus. George W. Bush got us in an ill-advised war and ruined the economy based on every standard and every number. Barack Obama in 8 years turned the economy around, left Donald Trump with a thriving economy. At the end of Trump's administration, where you said the economy was thriving, which is unbelievably and factually inaccurate, Joe Biden had to pick up the pieces. We had the lowest unemployment rate we had in 50 years. We had the CHIPS and Science Act. We had the bipartisan infrastructure bill. We had bipartisan gun legislation that was passed, the most in decades. By the way, Donald Trump said he would pass that bipartisan infrastructure bill. He wasn't able to do so. We had insulin capped at $35 for Plan A and Plan D, where millions of more Americans were getting their insulin capped at $35. Donald Trump just signed an executive order not allowing those millions of Americans to get their insulin capped at $35. We have a 4-year window. Forget about the first 7 weeks. We have a 4-year window where I've proven to you that Donald Trump taked our economy. The handling of COVID was an F minus. What did he do that you would brag about? And what has he done in the first 7 weeks that you think is good? Do you think it's good that so many undocumented immigrants that are not violent, that pay their taxes, are getting deported? Do you think it's good that all these government workers are losing their jobs, so many of them that happen to be veterans? Do you think it's good that the biggest tax breaks for the top 1% are going to thrive the economy? Do you think that's good for the economy, John?
I don't. I really don't.
You know what? We finally got somewhere, John, and I appreciate your honesty, my friend. Let's go to John. John is next up on PTL. Hey, John, what's going on?
Hi, Brian. I'm telling you, this is going to be one of the most difficult calls that I've ever made in my life. So please, if you can just bear with me for a moment. My entire life, I've been a Republican, and I've always voted, and I made a mistake.
You made a mistake.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening. Go ahead. What mistake did you make?
Yes. Well, I voted for Trump both times, or all 3 times, but
wow.
I voted for him. Now that I see what he's doing to this country of ours, I made a mistake, and this is truly difficult. I'm so sad. This is the call that I'm making. It's just so difficult to admit it, but what I was thinking our country would be and where we're headed right now are just in two. It's just so sad. I'm just so sad.
What made you decide to vote?
Correct.
Okay, so what have you seen from him in the last 4 months that you didn't see from him the first go around that allowed you to vote for him again? Why did you vote for him a third time to begin with? You didn't know the man that he was? I'm confused. Help me understand. What has he done in the first 4 months? And by the way, I'm glad that you're able to admit that. There's no shame in admitting it. But why did you vote for him a third time? And what did you see in the last 4 months that you didn't see in the last 8 years?
I've always been a Republican. I've always just voted for Republican, and it's not the Republican Party that it always has been. And now my last straw, or my last, it's just so sad watching the weekend with the Trump, the march and the parade.
Wait, hold on a second. That's what was the turning point for you, because a lot of people didn't show up to his birthday parade. The turning point for you wasn't January 6th, the insurrection. The turning point for you was not telling a woman what to do with her own body. The turning point for you wasn't when he pardoned a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists. You're telling me the turning point for you was the birthday bash?
Well, no, watching it and him looking like a king, looking like the guys from North Korea. He was looking like other people as the parade people were going by, and it made me realize in what the sadness of how he wants to take our country. No, I'm a father, and I have a daughter. And realizing now that a lot of the issues that he's dealing with are things that could be very hurtful or demolish for my daughter.
I listen, sir. I agree with what you just said. You're right. He does want to be a king and a dictator. But I want to ask you a question. You said you have a daughter. You knew that Donald Trump was a liable abuser. You knew that there were 25 women that came forward that accused him of abuse, including his ex-wife in court documents. If you have a daughter, How could you vote for a guy knowing that he went into teenage girls' locker rooms bragging about it without permission? Wouldn't that have given you pause? Like, I don't understand. Why is it just the birthday bash and him acting like a king? Why didn't you see this coming before? I guess that's my question.
Again, this is a very, very sad call, but I was brainwashed. I'm a Republican, and I've always got to be a Republican, and the family's a Republican, and we've always voted Republican. But now I'm starting to come around, and I'm seeing what's going on. And when I thought back about it, and I ended up thinking about the things from the past and how it could be very detrimental to my daughter, and if we have any granddaughters, the hurt it could be for women and females. That it's so sad.
Would you vote for if Kamala Harris was running against Donald Trump tomorrow and you had to vote? Who'd you vote for? Who would you vote for?
Well, yes, if I could do it again, I would have voted for Biden if he ran.
Okay, but hold on. But that wasn't my question.
Harris.
Okay, so
I would have voted for anybody other than Trump.
Okay,
knowing what I know now and looking back at it from a 2020 hindsight situation, looking back at it now, I would have voted for Kamala Harris. I would have voted for a Gavin Newsom. I would have voted for anybody else. And I know that it's too late now, but when I'm looking now...
No, it's not too late. No, I disagree with you. It's not too late.
Well,
you have the midterms. No, you have the midterms coming up, and you have another presidential election to vote for.
Yeah,
so you will
can't do anything about my past voting record, but all I can worry about now is the future. And because of that, I will be more involved on the midterms, and I will have the attempt to get people to put in as many Democrats as possible.
Okay, let me ask you some questions. Let me ask you some questions. If JD Vance versus Hillary Clinton, who do you vote for? Hypothetical.
Well, knowing what I know, I would vote for Hillary Clinton.
Okay, so you're not going to vote for any more MAGA Republicans. I understand. Okay.
Yes, and again, I'm 58 years old, and since I was 21, I've been very loyal. I just voted for the Republican. It didn't matter. That's how I was. So again, this is a very sad call that I have to make. That I realize what the sadness, that elections have consequences, and we're dealing with these consequences. And right now, if I could be welcomed into the Democratic Party, if I could be invited to them, I don't know really what the process
Would you go to a No Kings protest?
Well, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, I would.
All right, then I think Democrats should accept you. I will accept you. You've certainly made some mistakes based on your voting record, but the fact that you've come around, some people might say better late than ever. I'm glad that you're willing to admit your mistake. There's nothing bashful in life. We all make mistakes. Clearly, you've made yours. You've owned it. You're willing to call into a radio show and admit that. And for that, I appreciate you, sir, for admitting that you were wrong. And I think we all should, while I am confused and while I am agitated that people would vote for Donald Trump 3 times, I'm also a little bit relieved that somebody that would call in that is a staunch Donald Trump supporter or was and a Republican would now vote to the left. I guess, thank you. Thank you for admitting that, sir, and I do appreciate your call. And I'm going to take what you're saying as being genuine. I don't think he wanted to answer that question. But anytime I can get a MAGA supporter to finally admit that they made a mistake, that's not an easy thing to do, so I guess I'll take that as a victory.
I know you and I got into an argument the other week, but if I can make it up to you, I would love to take you on a gondola ride at the Venetian sometime for $40.
Well, I'll be honest with you. If I had a fetish for middle-aged white men that are Trump supporters, then maybe you would have a chance, but I'm going to have to pass up that opportunity. Aaron, let's try to get serious here for a moment. Are you happy? And be serious with me here. Are you happy with Vladimir Putin stepping on American soil and them rolling out the red carpet for him and Joe, and saying that Joe Biden is the reason why this war started, and Donald Trump not answering any questions in the press conference. Like, as an American, which I assume you are were you comfortable with that?
I think the meeting should have happened somewhere else, not in America. I mean, I just wouldn't want that guy being here because I despise the guy personally.
Well, I agree with you. We agree on that. I don't think it should have been in America either. I completely agree with you. Why do you think Donald Trump wanted to have it in America?
You know, honestly, I couldn't tell you. Maybe doesn't want to leave the country, make it closer halfway in Alaska. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what's in his mind. I mean, he's kind of hard to keep up with every day.
Can you help me understand this, Aaron? Because a lot of MAGA Republicans are saying how great of a job Donald Trump is doing getting people to the table. By the way, Joe Biden got people to the table too. But like, what has Donald Trump accomplished so far? What has he accomplished? He hasn't punished Russia for anything. He's once again earlier today, he blames Ukraine for starting the war, which we know didn't happen. What has he done? What has he accomplished when it comes to this conflict?
Honestly, I think this war is going to be going on for a long time, and I just don't see it ending anytime soon. I hate to say it, I'm not trying to rip on Biden or Trump. I just think that I wouldn't be taking the victory lap before anything got done. That's just how I personally feel.
So I agree. I agree with you. So why is it then that he campaigned on I'm going to end the war within 24 hours? Because I think a lot of people believed him. I don't think you did, but a lot of people believed him.
Some did, but it takes years to end, or it doesn't happen in 24 hours unless you have some ties.
All right.
To it.
So we agree on that. Okay, Aaron, you seem like a reasonable guy. So tell me, why did you vote for Donald Trump over Kamala Harris? Like, what was it about Kamala Harris that you couldn't stand and you couldn't vote for her over a 34-count felon adjudicated rapist? Like, what was it about Harris that you said, oh man, I can't vote for her?
I've just always been a lifetime Republican. I mean, Trump wasn't my first choice in 2016 in the primaries. I mean, they kind of just vote for the nominee, and I try to give him a chance. But I mean, sometimes it just doesn't work out, you know? Like, there's things I wish he wouldn't do. I wish he would spend less time on Twitter. I wish he'd focus more on what's happening versus pop culture issues.
But didn't he do that? But I agree with you, but don't you know, he did that in his first administration. What made you think he was going to change this go around? And I understand you say you're a lifelong Republican. I understand that. But I think the question's more important than what party you're in, right? I mean, you do agree with me. He's a 34-count felon. He's an adjudicated abuser. If not for him, January 6th doesn't happen. And I guess, were you willing to put all those issues to the side just because you're a lifelong Republican?
I mean, I voted for John Kasich in 2016 primary. He was my first pick. I thought old age would mellow him out a bit, just him, becoming an older type of guy. I thought that would at least somehow take the edge off. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay, but what was it about Harris that I understand you're a lifelong Republican? Let me ask it a different way. What are some of the policies on the left that Kamala proposed, or some of the stuff that Joe Biden did that you didn't like?
Well, I just think that I'm more like I like lower taxes. I'm more big on the border. I like to have the border closed.
All right, so let's start with taxes. Donald Trump has the biggest tax breaks for the top 1% in the history of this country in the big and beautiful bill. Does that bother you at all if you want to talk about tax breaks?
No, because everyone gets a tax cut regardless of who gets one. We all benefit.
Right.
You're going to get one.
I'm not benefiting anywhere near as much as the richest people in this country are, and you know that. Kamala Harris had a plan where if you had a household income of under $400,000, she wanted to cut the taxes down to 26%. She campaigned on that. Donald Trump hasn't done that, and of all people, this. The big and beautiful bill gives the biggest tax breaks to the top 1%. And in Donald Trump's first administration go around, he gave all the tax loopholes to CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies and the tech billionaires. So if you care about, and I'm going to assume you're being genuine when you tell me you care about tax breaks for the middle class and the poor, you really think that Donald Trump is the guy? He's the guy that's taking away Medicaid from 15 million plus Americans. He's the guy that's taking food stamps off the table. So if that is one of your primary issues or criticisms with the Democrats, why wouldn't you vote for Harris then? I don't understand. Trump's the guy that's taking all these government programs away from the poor.
I mean, the cuts that were in my congresswoman here, I think she was actually mentioned on your show. Like, she actually said it right. Like, scaling back some of the Medicare stuff and Medicaid. Like, we have to make sure that people who are fit to work are using these programs.
Okay, but that's okay, but I understand, but that's not, you understand that 30% of people who are working in the United States are not offered health care. And those that are offered health care, almost half of them can't afford it. So the overwhelming majority of these people are going to lose their health care coverage that are actually working. And the right-wing talking point is, well, you got to get off your ass and work. We heard the same thing about unemployment benefits, the same thing about welfare, the same thing about food stamps. There's always going to be a small percentage of people that are going to take advantage of it. But you and I well know, I assume you know, that there's a lot of people in this country that are working that can't afford the health care or not offered it. What do we do about those people? In the Bugle?
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, because I think a lot of the people feel like Trump's base. I mean, like all the people like who worship him, like he's a god with flags on their house and all that. I mean, a lot of those people are probably just quote on their ass and not working. I mean, I wonder how many of those people are receiving subsidies or being hypocrites at the same time. I'm just throwing that out there, like down south.
Okay, as I said, there might be some lazy people out there, but I could also say that 30% of the people that are working in this country aren't offered healthcare benefits. Listen, dude, that's a lot of people, Aaron. That's a lot of people that are many of them are going to lose their healthcare coverage, and Republicans are lying when they say, "Oh no, this is going to do a better. This will be better for Americans. It makes Medicaid stronger." No, it doesn't. There's a lot of people that are going to be sick. They're going to die. There's a lot of people that are going to be going to the emergency room because they can't afford the medicine. I mean, I don't know. I mean, listen, Aaron, this is the guy you voted for. On day one, he signed an executive order getting rid of Plan B and Plan D that Joe Biden put in place for capping insulin costs. Millions of Americans now do not have their insulin capped at $35. Donald Trump signed that executive order on day one. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to convince me that you would say that Donald Trump is helping the middle class and the poor. Look at what he's doing with these tariffs, Aaron. Look at all these businesses that are shutting down. Look at all these people that are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. They need those healthcare benefits.
Yeah, I understand. Like, there has to be a better way of doing it. I voted for Trump. It's more like, just, I don't know, I just couldn't vote for Harris. And
Why?
I think
Help me understand. Help me understand, Aaron.
I think Trump's made mistakes in his life. Yeah, I don't think he's the best guy. He has issues, but it's just, he's going to come, he's going to go, he's going to be gone. We'll never have to hear from him, hopefully, again.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, but would you consider it a mistake when you intentionally go into a teenage girl's locker room to see those teenage girls half naked without their permission? See, I think it's a mistake when you lock your keys in your car. It's not a mistake. It was intentional. Do you think it's a mistake that he's in the Epstein files? Is it a mistake that he's a 34-count felon? Is it a mistake that this is the guy who said, I don't want black people counting my money in my Atlantic City casinos. I want Jews counting my money. Is it a mistake that he was sued thousands of times on discrimination lawsuits because he didn't want black people living in his complexes in Manhattan? See, I don't think that's a mistake. Is it a mistake when he takes out a page in the New York Times saying that the Parkland Five, should get the death penalty? And then when they're proven innocent through DNA, he doesn't retract, doesn't apologize. See, I don't think those are mistakes. He's just an awful human being, an adjudicated rapist, a convicted felon, and a guy who is not a good businessman. He's not a good businessman. He was given a $500 million company from his dad. And, look at all of his businesses that have filed for bankruptcy. He's a con man. Would you really consider that like mistakes? Like, what if that was your daughter? Let me ask you this. I don't know if you have kids, Aaron, okay? But I'm asking you.
I don't.
Okay, understand. But if you had a daughter that was 13 or 14 years old and some creepy old man went in there without permission that was running the pageant and got a look at her half naked, would you vote for that guy?
I would not, no.
Okay, so I appreciate your honesty, Aaron. So my question then is, why does it only apply to you? Why can't it apply to other people?
I guess I messed up when I voted for him. I just don't know what to say. And I thought, you and I talked about this before, but maybe he isn't the best person. I just think that I'm ready to move on to 28, really. I mean, I don't know what to say.
If it's J.D. Vance versus, by the way, I appreciate you admitting that. There's a lot of people that voted for Donald Trump today that are not willing to admit that they made a mistake. So I do appreciate you admitting that. If it's 2028 now, the elections are around the corner, and it's like a J.D. Vance or one of these MAGA Republicans versus, I don't know, a Josh Shapiro, a Gavin Newsom, what do you do?
I would write in Sydney Sweeney, honestly.
Okay, well, I'll take that as a joke, but I do appreciate your call, Aaron. Thank you very much. I don't think he wanted to answer that question. But anytime I can get a MAGA supporter to finally admit that they made a mistake, that's not an easy thing to do. So I guess I'll take that as a victory. I guess I will.